Hello one and all, and welcome again to Tarot Journeys. Tonight's subject matter is a very important one when it comes to tarot. Now we're going to be touching on a very important subject called the Tree of Life. Now the Tree of Life I'm going to be referring to as Toll, save going Tree of Life every time. Now the importance of the Tree of Life with tarot is unending. It is like having an ingredient in a cake missing and the cake sagging in the middle. And this will empower your tarot reads and give you other dimensions, especially on major trumps that you weren't aware of before. And I strongly advise that you learn and take the time to learn the Tree of Life and how it works, because the rewards are great. Now, if you see me looking to the prompt sheet a lot, it's because this is quite a comprehensive subject, and it's going to be probably 2 or 3 videos long, depending on the time, how it goes, we'll see. So, the pathways are illuminated by the major trumps on the Tree of Life, and this is what the Tree of Life looks like. Now, there are 10 Sephira on the Tree of Life. Each has their own expression, each has their own traits, and each is ruled by a planet. We will get onto that later. But the pathways from these Sephiras are very important and are related to the actual major trumps. The minor trumps are actually in the Sephira, which we'll be going on to in a while. Now, as I say, there are 10 Sephira. The top 3 you can say are separate from the rest of the tree. Now, the Tree of Life looks like this as a depiction. I have part by the side of me a Tree of Life which is more acceptable to viewing, but this looks more like a road map. This is more of a depiction of the Tree of Life. Now, with the Tree of Life comes a lot of things. There are many depths to each layer, if you like, as it goes along. And the more you study the Tree of Life, the more you will understand this concept. But I'm going to start with the top 3 Sephira. Now, the top 3 are called the supernal triangle. There we go. Hide the face a bit, but there you go. Now, the supernal triangle is above matter materialization. The rest of the Sephira are unaware that these top Sephira exist. Now, we have Sephira number 1, which is the God state, the divine self, the divine being, which is a reflection to 2, reflecting the 1, which gives the Trinity the birth of the 3rd Sephira. Now, these Sephira are above materialization, unknown to the rest of the Sephira. These are the Sephira that are the seed before the seed, if you like. Now, number 1 Sephira is called Keter. This is the God Sephira that gives birth to the whole chart. Now, you can look at the Tree of Life, and this is a depiction, a blueprint, if you like, of existence itself. Now, I did talk about this, I touched on it on the Fool, explaining the Fool card, where we had the 3 veils of negativity preceding the Tree of Life. We had the Ein Sof, and the Ein Sofer. So, to go back to that, look at my full video, part 1 and 2, and there'll be a bit of an explanation there. I don't want to get bogged down with that on this one. So we have the divine self, the divine entity, giving birth to Chokmah, which is number 2. Hold on, Chokmah's this side. I'm looking at the tree from the wrong side. Chokmah is on your right. And Binah is understanding. Now with these two in particular, there is an old saying that wisdom is not knowledge, wisdom is understanding. You can learn a lot and still not understand. Wisdom comes with understanding. So you have these top three Sephira, Keter, Chokmah and Binah. We will get onto the planets of all these probably in another one, but I must press on because there's such a lot to do. Now, the planetary aspects to these Sephira are in accordance with, if you like, their importance. The lower that you go down the tree, the more basic it is. And we have Malkut at the bottom, which is earth. So it's rather like the toilet end of the tree, for want of a better explanation. So we start with the high, the divine, and as we get lower and lower and lower on the tree, then it gets more, it's base, if you like, or becomes certain base. Materialism takes place from 4 onwards. The idea of the idea is on the top 3 Sephira. Now these, as I've stated, will add enormous depth to not only major tarot trumps but also to the minor tarots, which we will get onto in a minute. Excuse me. Now the essence of the divine is the Fool. Now the Fool's journey starts from Keter along the path to mercy. You have 3 pillars, 3 columns, if you like. You have the pillar of mercy, the pillar of balance and harmony, the pillar of severity. Now, the Wheel of Fortune depicts this also. I'll put this down a minute. Now, the Wheel of Fortune depicts the higher, the lower, the descent and the rise. Now the middle pillar on the Wheel of Fortune is to aim for the axle part, the center. The center does not move up, down or sideways. The point of existence and the point of your job in this sojourn, I will use sojourn, but it means lifetime, is to try and attain a middle balance. Now when you can attain a middle balance, you don't have severity, you don't have mercy, you have an equilibrium, you have a balance. This is emphasized in the card of the Aeon, not the Aeon, Temperance in a lot of the tarot decks, but it is emphasized in a balance with temperance. So back to the wheel. This is earth. This is a depiction of earthly state. The Wheel of Fortune is the life revolving. Now if we take the essence of God, this is the 0, the Fool. When this becomes or is part of life on earth and mankind, it is because it has the Fool with it. It is the number 10. Now without the Fool on the return, this becomes the number 1, which is Keter. So here it is with 10 because we have the Fool on the journey, but this is actually number 1 as well. What goes to the earth on the final part goes back to the divine in the end. I will mention more on this in a while. Now, Lon Milo DeQuette's book, which I've mentioned and shown you on a previous video, explains the Trinity aspect, which are the 3 Sephira, the next 3 Sephira, and the bottom 3 Sephira. In Trinity form, you have the first Trinity of 3, the second Trinity, and the third Trinity. Now, bear with me a second while I change this over. It's live, folks, as I've said before. Now I'm going to use an example of the Tree of Life working with the tarot. Now, how this works is the more you go down the tree, the more base it is. When you go to the right or the left, then you are being off balance. Now, let's just hold that up there. Now, being off balance, I mean that the numbers that are particular to these Sephira go in the Sephira numbers, like you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's the Sephira numbered. Now this applies, the aces go in 1, the 2s go in 2, the 3s go in 3, the 4s go in 4, etc. until the bottom Sephira of 10, Malkut. So each of these minor trumps goes in, and each of them are ruled by a planet on the Tree of Life. Now I'm going to use number, hold on, where are we here? Number 7, which is Netzach. Now this is the sphere of grace, beauty, fecundity, I'll put this down a minute, of femininity, of things of desire, things that you want, things that you desire. Now the reason being for this is because this major trump is a planetary trump of Venus. Now Venus rules Netzach. So Netzach is a 7, and then you know that any card in the 7s is going to have a Venus or Venetian influence. So we have cards here, the 7s, that are off balance on the Tree of Life. They are not in the middle path, so there is an off balance attitude towards them. Now I'm going to start as an example with the 7 of Cups. Now bear in mind that this is off balance. It's on the lower part, on the mercy part of the Tree of Life. Now you have here a cup of illusion, disillusion, too many choices, confusion, things that you can't make up your mind about, and it's an emotional card, the 7 of Cups. Now this happens to be ruled by Venus. Now in this instance, Venus, as L'Homme de Quête said, is making herself sick because there's too many choices, too much desirability, too much of this, too much of that, and it's not balanced. So whilst L'Homme de Quête put that towards a Scorpio card, it can also apply in Netzach. So here we have the planet Venus influencing the 7 of Cups. Now if we have the 7 of Wands, we have an off balance, say argumentative state, or several arguments at once, something that is uneven, something that is off balance, to do with desire, to do with wants, to do with gain, anything like that, because it belongs or has Venetian traits coming through it. So this is a fire sign that is also out of whack, because the fire signs are in the higher end of the Tree of Life. We'll go into that later on another video. So this is out of sync there anyway. Now another card, the 7 of Swords. This is model thinking, or plotted thinking, or planning thinking, or something that's not right, trying to get right or make wrong. This is an unbalance, an imbalance of thought. So this is very often to do with gain or subterfuge of gain, or anything to do with desire or thoughts of desire and how to get it. So again, we have an off balance number with the Venetian trait behind it causing this. Now if we go for this other 7, we have now an off balance of the Pentacles. Now, everybody knows that Pentacles is to do with money, to do with chattel, to do with acquisition, to do with anything that's acquired on a material, tangible level, values, etc. So you have a desire through Venus of acquisitions of material things. Now the trouble with this, and this is why I like Crowley, has depicted this card in its right trait. By that I mean the Seven of Pentacles is ruled by Saturn in Taurus. So here we have a card that Venus rules. Remember, Venus rules Taurus and Libra. So when you see the sevens, she has on the one hand acquisition, desire, lustful, feisty, earthy type meanings and connotations. And in the Libra type, where the swords could apply, she has this eloquence, sociability, poise, charm, this kind of socializing. So here we have Saturn in Taurus. Now Saturn is a planet of limitation. So we have a limitation on desires for acquisitions. So immediately we know that Saturn is going to put the knife in as far as acquiring goes here. Saturn, the planet of limitation, also with Saturn in a horoscope anywhere, can bring about fears of loss, fears of not achieving. So we have here a card of non-achievement. Now, I will liken this card to something that you really have tried hard at, you really have put in a lot of work, and it's one of those cards that you think at the end of it, is that all I've got? Is that all it's worth? So what I'm trying to say is that you now have the sevens. When you see any of these sevens in a read, in a spread, and you immediately know there is more armaments to these sevens than first thought of. So the thing to remember primarily is that behind these are Venetian traits, and that the seven is off balance. Now this does apply to all the minor trumps from the traits. For another instance, if I was to take Hesed, Sephira number 4, this is ruled by Jupiter. So now you know that anything that's in the fours has expansiveness, can be expanded, to do with gain of some sort, but an expansion of things. So you know, and I won't go through the fours, that'll be at another time, but as the example I've shown from the sevens. But you know then, incidentally, Hesed is to do with your place of work, how you conduct yourself to others, how others see you, your position in society or non-position in society. It is based on that. So you now know that behind the fours is this Sephira with this connotation as well. So apart from the normal four meaning, which is stability, whether it's the Four of Pentacles, whether it's the Four of Wands, you know that there is this sphere of Hesed behind it. And it is the first of the materialization form. So this is form. So number 4 is to do with form, but it's also expansive, potentially even, because Jupiter is in the background. So where are we here? Hold on. Explanation of this, taking time. All right. Yeah. Now, I'm going to take a little time out from this because I'm completely lost for the moment. Oh, yes. And I'm going to extol the virtues of what I consider is a tarot goddess. Now, this woman revolutionized to me tarot, turned it upside down and made me look at things that I never looked at before. And I could say that this woman completely transformed the way I was thinking at the time, the way I was working at the time. And I was absolutely knocked out. And I can't say enough about this woman. As I say, I can only term her as a goddess of tarot. Now, her name, I don't know whether I'm going to pronounce it right. It's a very unusual name, and some of you out there probably think, oh yeah, it's such and such already. But I'm going to do my best, and if she does listen in, I hope I've done her some justice with this, but this is a fantastic tarot book. Now, the author, or the authoress, is called, I'm going to term it Lie de Angelis, or Lie de Angelis, or Lie de Angels, although I think it's Lie de Angelis. I hope I've got that right. Now, the book is called Tarot, Theory and Practice. Now, the excitement I had about this book, if this book was £1 billion, I would have bought it somehow. This is how much I rate this book. This is one of the greatest tarot books I've ever come across. So I'll say again, it's Tarot, Theory and Practice by Lie de Angelis. I hope that's so right. Buy this book because it will revolutionize you. It's well written, but it is tricky and there's a lot to learn in it, but it covers a lot of what I'm talking about and have been talking about in other videos, and it takes it into other realms. And the way she explains things, she lives modern. So it's not just past tarot like the old past people do. I'm not decrying that, but this is taking it to another level, and it's just fantastic. And that's all I can say. So Tarot, Theory and Practice by Lie de Angelis. Fantastic. Right, now where are we now? We can't mention. So here we have the major trumps and the minor trumps that work on this tree of life. All of it. The funny thing is that the pathways are akin to you being in a chauffeur-driven car, using the traits and abilities of that car for your journey. Now, minor trumps are usually for the everyday occurrences and the little detail things that you come by. The tarot majors are the signposts. They're the big chiefs. So, in other words, to get your paths right, you have all the power you need. Now, the balance is the most important thing there is. Now, I'm going to have a word here about the Sephira of Tiferet. Now, this is the Tiferet of gods, of deities, of perfected beings, if you like. They are home in Tiferet. Now, Tiferet is the number 6. I'll put this down again. Now, the number 6 is the perfect balance of numbers. By that I mean the elements in its most powerful force. Remember I said in the number videos about 5, 6 and 7 being the fixed numbers. Well, 6 is the element in its absolute peak. When you get to the 7, as I was talking about earlier on, you'll get a fading away from the full power of the element. When you get to the 8, it's a little weaker. This is how it goes on until the transitory period of 10 back to the 1. So more on this Tiferet. Now, Tiferet, where the gods are, I never understood a biblical saying, and I don't know if I've got it quite right because I haven't got it to hand right now, but there was a biblical saying that said, the first shall be the last, and the last shall be the first. Now, I thought this was gobbledygook all these years, until I realised that it was quoted from the Tree of Life. Now, let me show you. The first shall be the last, and the last shall be the first. And there is another biblical saying. I haven't got this correct, but it goes along the lines of the only way through to heaven or to God, I can't remember the exact wording for it, is through me. Now this was Jesus talking. Now through me, what he's saying is the center pillar, you have to go through 6, the Sephira of 6, the gods and deities, to get up the middle path to the divine self. So you have to go through 6 to get there. Incidentally, this is path 13. This is the high priestess that takes you through the abyss. More on this later on, but it's spellbinding stuff. So this takes you through the abyss, and the name for the high priestess is Gimel, which means camel. Now camel can go through a desert without hardly any water. Now this is a barren desert of mankind's, well, nothingness, if you like, which has to be traversed to get to the divine. So this is the lessons of the final path, if you like. So where are we now? Hold on. Yeah. How I learnt the tree of life. You're sitting there thinking, oh, I can't take this in. I thought the same. Learn to draw the tree of life diagram over and over and over again until you're blue in the face. That's how I did it. And I could draw it in my sleep. I could start from the middle outwards, the bottom to the top, any way you like. Learn the style, the diagram. Learn the actual blueprint. Then put your names in for the Sephira. There are loads of books out there anyway. We'll do something on this in another video anyway. Put the names on the Sephira, then the planets of the various Sephira that rule the Sephira. Then learn your pathways. Here's your pathways. The names of the pathways. Now before I carry on with this, where is he now? Ah, yes. I mentioned in a previous video, Paul Foster Case, the Book of Tokens. I strongly recommend, and I recommended this before, I recommend it again, you need this book, because this will not only show you the pathways, it will show you and tell you and explain the reason for the pathways. So the Book of Tokens by Paul Foster Case will nicely explain a lot of things on the Tree of Life. So back to the Tree of Life. We have the pathways. Learn the names. I mentioned of the Fool is called Aleph. Now Aleph means ox. I've mentioned this in the first video I did. Ox means to carry the burdens forward that's needed to go on the journey. And all these pathways have meanings, and once you know the meanings and you relate them to the trumps, then you'll understand why that pathway is on the severe pillar, the middle pillar, or the mercy pillar. Each has its own function to do, and each pillar comes together in the end. So learn this Tree of Life, write it down, draw it and draw it and draw it, put the planets on, and you'll start to understand where the minor trumps come in, why they're there. Everything is linked. I said about the power of numbers, it all links. The number sequence does not change. It starts at 1 and goes back to 1. The 9 is the completion, 10 starts the 1. Now, this is a monster subject, and I could go on and on, but I think I'm going to curtail it there, and I want to continue it on another time soon, because it is now 20 to 12 at night. So I hope again that you've learnt something from this. Please email me or leave comments, nice ones of course, and anything that I can try and answer I will do. I'm going to leave you with my normal thought, and that is, out of nothing we came, out of nothing we shall return. This has been John. Thanks for listening.